Everyone in Hollywood thinks the biggest threat to a celebrity's career is getting caught by paparazzi in an embarrassing moment or having their private messages leaked online. But there's something far more dangerous lurking in Beverly Hills, hidden behind pristine white walls and fancy receptionist plastic surgery clinics. Hey, a single bad photo can be forgotten in a week, but a botched surgery? That's permanent. Well, sometimes. And the worst part, these celebrities are walking into these disasters voluntarily, credit card in hand, chasing an impossible dream of eternal youth. We're going to look at 10 cases that'll make you wonder if these stars had a mirror in their house, or if someone was playing a cruel joke on them with these procedures. Number 10. Lara Flynn Boyle. Let's start with Lara Flynn Boyle. Remember her? The stunning actress from The Practice? Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, she was the epitome of old Hollywood grace. Think classic beauty, sharp features, that timeless elegance that made you believe she could have starred alongside Audrey Hepburn. But something changed. It started slowly, at first a little tweak here, a small adjustment there. Then suddenly, boom! The transformation was so dramatic that when recent photos surfaced, fans had to do a double take. We're talking about a complete facial overhaul, rhinoplasty, lip augmentation, dermal fillers, anti-wrinkle treatments, possibly a facelift, and a brow lift. The tragedy isn't just that she looks different, it's that you can't even recognize the talented actress who once captured audiences with her presence. The overfilled cheeks, the dramatically altered lips, it's as if someone took the original Lara Flynn Boyle and ran her through a face-tuning app gone haywire. Number 9. Jocelyn Wildenstein. But if you think that's shocking, wait until you hear about Jocelyn Wildenstein. They call her the Lion Woman of New York, and trust me, it's not because she's brave. Wildenstein took plastic surgery to such an extreme that it sounds like an urban legend, but it's all true. Get this, she reportedly underwent dozens of procedures, all because she thought her husband liked big cats. Yes, you heard that right. She wanted to look more feline to win back her man. The list of procedures is longer than a CVS receipt: brow lift, facelift, lip plumping, chin augmentation, fat grafting, cheek implants, upper and lower eyelid surgery, and something called canthopexy that's supposed to give you cat-like eyes. The result? Well, let's just say she succeeded in not looking human anymore. Number 8. Joan Van Ark. Speaking of transformations, let's talk about Joan Van Ark. If you watched television between the late 1970s and early 1990s, you couldn't miss her. She dominated primetime soap operas in Dallas and Knots Landing, and even extended her soap empire into daytime TV with The Young and the Restless in the mid-2000s. Back then, she was the definition of classic Hollywood beauty, the kind of stunning presence that lit up every scene she was in. But Van Ark apparently never saw in herself what millions of viewers saw on their screens every week. Despite her success and obvious beauty, she harbored deep insecurities about her appearance. And what do you do in Hollywood when you have insecurities and money to burn? You visit the plastic surgeon's office, again and again. By 2020, the transformation was so dramatic that people who saw her in person said her face looked like it was literally melting. At 81, Van Ark has had everything done: Botox, laser treatments, facelift, brow lift, collagen fillers, cheek implants. It's like she's playing surgery bingo and trying to hit every square. The problem isn't any single procedure, it's the combination of all of them. Number 7. Linda Evangelista. Moving on to our next surgery mistake. Linda Evangelista, yes. The supermodel who once famously said she wouldn't get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day. Her case is different because it wasn't traditional plastic surgery that changed her life, but a procedure called cool sculpting. She disappeared from public view for 5 years. That's half a decade of one of the world's most photographed women avoiding cameras. When she finally broke her silence in 2021, the story she told was heartbreaking. The procedure, which was supposed to reduce fat cells, allegedly did the opposite. Instead of slimming down her face, it caused her fat cells to multiply. Imagine being one of the most beautiful women in the world, and then having a cosmetic procedure literally change your face in the opposite way you wanted. She called herself brutally disfigured and said it destroyed her livelihood. This isn't just a case of bad plastic surgery, it's a story about how even the most seemingly safe procedures can go terribly wrong. Number 6. Lil' Kim. Next up is Lil' Kim. She wasn't just any rapper, she was a pioneer, a fashion icon, someone who influenced an entire generation of artists. But somewhere along the line, she seemed to lose sight of her natural beauty. The transformation was so dramatic that when she performed on MTV with her new face, fans couldn't believe their eyes. We're talking about multiple procedures: Botox, lip fillers, septoplasty, rhinoplasty, brow line lift, the works. The saddest part? Her most loyal fans, the people who followed her since the Junior MAFIA days, barely recognize her anymore. The same person who commanded stages and inspired millions now makes headlines for looking like a completely different person. Number 5. Mickey Rourke. Now, let's shift gears and talk about Mickey Rourke, because this is where Hollywood's obsession with perfection takes a masculine turn. Rourke's story is particularly fascinating because he was once mentioned in the same breath as James Dean and Robert De Niro. He was the bad boy of 80s cinema, with looks that could kill and talent to match. But here's where it gets complicated. Rourke claims most of his procedures were to fix boxing injuries, but somewhere along the line, things went very wrong. We're talking about 5 rhinoplasty procedures, chin implants, lower lip implants, cheek implants, a hair transplant, an eye lift, a facelift, and filler injections. The result? That signature tough guy look was replaced with something that looks more artificial than authentic. The real tragedy is that Rourke himself admits he went to the wrong guy to fix his face. Yeah, one wrong choice of surgeon, and suddenly, one of Hollywood's most promising actors becomes better known for his altered appearance than his acting abilities. Number 4. Melanie Griffith. Now it's time to talk about Melanie Griffith, because her story adds another layer to our understanding of Hollywood's complicated relationship with aging. Griffith, who was once the epitome of fresh-faced charm, decided to experiment with plastic surgery in her mid to late 50s. The list of procedures reads like a medical textbook: breast augmentation, nose job, facelift, Botox, filler injections, liposuction, eyelid surgery, and lip injections. The results were dramatic, but she didn't even realize how drastically she had changed until people started pointing and whispering, "Oh my God, what has she done?" That's when she realized something had gone terribly wrong. Number 3. Bobby Norris. Now, here's a wild card in our lineup. Bobby Norris from The Only Way is Essex. While everyone was speculating about his dramatically changed appearance, Norris finally came clean about exactly what he'd done to his face, and let me tell you, it's quite the shopping list. At just 37, Norris decided to completely transform his appearance. We're talking about an upper left blepharoplasty that's fancy doctor talk for eyelid surgery, and something called buccal fat removal, where they literally take out the natural fat pads in your cheeks. He also got liposuction under his chin and a full 360-degree torso liposuction procedure in Turkey. Norris didn't just wake up one day and decide to transform his face. The torso lipo actually came after a motorcycle accident in London that left him unable to work out, something that had become a huge part of his life during the pandemic. But instead of waiting for his injuries to heal, he opted for surgical intervention. The results? Well, let's just say plastic is the word that comes to mind. His face is puffy, screaming plastic all over it. Oh, dumb people with money. Number 2. Michael Jackson. And then there's Michael Jackson. Now, I know what you're saying. Everybody knows about Michael Jackson's plastic surgery. But what makes his case particularly tragic is the context. Here was a man who changed the face of music, who broke racial barriers and revolutionized entertainment. But societal pressure and personal insecurities led him down a path of multiple rhinoplasties that almost erased his nose entirely. Jackson admitted to having some procedures done because of an accident and breathing problems. But over time, the surgeries kept coming: chin surgery, cheek implants, eyelid surgery, skin treatments. Toward the end of his days, his face was almost uncomfortable to look at, not to mention how difficult it was for him to make facial expressions. Number 1. Donatella Versace. And in the number 1 spot, we have the incomparable Donatella Versace. Here's a woman who helped build one of the most sophisticated fashion brands in the world, yet somehow lost sight of the very aesthetic principles her empire was built on. The changes in Versace's appearance are almost mathematical in their wrongness. Take her lips, for instance. Naturally, your lower lip should be about 50% larger than your upper lip. It's just how human faces work. But in Versace's case, these proportions are completely reversed, creating what doctors call a trout pout. The lines between her mouth and nose are so pronounced, it's like someone drew them with a marker, suggesting massive amounts of filler in her cheeks. Add to that the waxy skin from multiple laser treatments, and the lack of definition in her features, and you've got what happens when someone treats plastic surgery like seasonal fashion, something to be updated and changed with each new trend. In fact, fashion journalists have noted that Donatella approaches plastic surgery the same way she might shop for accessories, as if new lips or cheeks were just another luxury item to add to her collection. She's become famous for not giving enough time between treatments, never taking that conservative approach that doctors recommend. She's become so unrecognizable that if you Google a picture of her from 1993 and put it next to a recent one, you'd probably think you are seeing photos of 2 completely different people. That tells you a lot about the pressure to maintain a certain image can drive people to extreme measures. These celebrities had access to the best surgeons, the most expensive procedures, and unlimited resources. And still, things went wrong. So, you might want to think twice before going under the knife for a touch-up. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more celebrity secrets.